So for today's video, I thought I would go through all of my childhood DVDs that I owned as a kid and talk about them basically. There's a lot of Disney films, a lot of TV shows that I used to watch as a kid that I have really fond memories with, and I have kept, well, most of them. I might even go through some ones I don't own as well and just pop them up on the screen somewhere, just so I can talk about them because I have very fond memories as a kid of watching them. So let's go through them. So to start off, we have the Alvin and the Chipmunks films. Wrong way. The Alvin and the Chipmunks films. So I don't own the... is there 4 in this series? I can't even remember. I definitely don't own the third one, but I do own the first one and the second one. Now, the first one is definitely the one that I have the absolute most memories with out of this series. And I think I owned Alvin and the Chipmunks meets Frankenstein as well, but I don't actually remember watching that. Anyway, this film was probably my favourite film when I was maybe about 4 years old. I distinctly remember being in nursery and, like, watching this film, like, not long after it came out, and I just absolutely remember loving it, like loving all the songs, loving, you know, the Chipmunks' little voices, and this guy as well, Dave, and the other guy as well, who's the main villain, what's his name? Uncle Ian, that's it, Uncle Ian. I remember him being absolutely hilarious. So this was an absolute childhood favourite. And then the second one, other than like the Chipettes being in it, I really don't remember much about this film. But it is a Blu-ray release, so this was probably one of the first Blu-rays I owned as a kid. Next we have Cats and Dogs, which is in a pretty interesting DVD case, if I do say so myself. This one is some kind of like festive edition. Now, I have seen these ones in CEX before and the normal ones, and I was always confused as to why this was an actual thing, because the film, from what I remember, isn't Christmassy. I mean, honestly, I've not watched this since I was probably about 10, but I don't remember this film being Christmassy. Obviously the tagline being cats and dogs are not just for Christmas, and the feel festive bauble there. But I do remember this film always being on the TV. I think it was always on like channels like ITV2, like in the holidays when they just used to show like films all the time on the TV. We've got the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory films, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and the remake, which is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now, let's talk about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So, this, as a book and a film, was a childhood favourite of mine. Obviously, you've got the legendary Gene Wilder playing Willy Wonka. And many people say that a lot of people haven't been able to live up to his portrayal, which I do agree with. But honestly, I think this film is overhated. Like, I'm going to be honest, there was a time when I was a kid where I genuinely preferred watching this film than this film. And I think it was because this film was a bit more modernised and it was a bit more Tim Burton-y. Like, I don't know, I just feel like Tim Burton's style of directing sort of does appeal to children because he has that sort of like fantastical sort of spooky sort of characters that play his films, and I think Johnny Depp did do a decent job as Willy Wonka, but obviously this one is the absolute best Willy Wonka film, so yeah. Next we have the Bill Murray Garfield films, which is Garfield 1, I've done that again, Garfield 1 and Garfield 2. Now, the first Garfield I never owned as a kid on DVD. Again, it was on the telly a lot, so I did watch it on that, but this one is a 2-disc special edition of the first Garfield film. Now, I know Bill Murray said that he does regret playing Garfield, and again, I haven't watched these films since I was a kid, so obviously my view of them probably are sort of blinded by nostalgia. But honestly, I did pretty enjoy this film quite a lot. Like, I really enjoyed the Garfield show, the animated series that was on Boomerang. That, in my opinion, was absolutely great. But Garfield 2 was the one that I always preferred. Now, this one was set in the UK, I think, and I think it's about... Is this one about Garfield? Oh, because it was called A Tale of Two Kitties, wasn't it? So I think this was about Garfield having some kind of brother who was like the royal cat or something. And I distinctly remember like a scene of Garfield, I think it was, watching GMTV, which is the news show that we had in the UK at the time. Next, we have Happy Feet on DVD. Now, I don't own the second film, and I don't even think I've watched it. But this one, again, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it as a kid. I used to love things like animals, and obviously dancing penguins to me appealed to me at that age. And I remember when the second one came out, it was at Cineworld. There was this like penguin and it was like a bendy straw. It was like a swirly blue straw, and it had a penguin on it. And do you know those little packs that you used to get in Cineworld? The Munch packs, I think they're called. Like, they're like for kids, and you get like magic stars and popcorn and that in. And I remember it had a Happy Feet straw, and I used to just love it. And this film was a solid childhood film, so there we go. Now, I will be impressed if any of you guys get this film, and it's Hoodwinked. Now, this film went under the radar for quite a lot of reasons, like in the mid-2000s, for kids' animated films. One, probably because it wasn't as good as the likes of Madagascar and like Monsters, Inc. that were coming around at that time. But I did enjoy it. I don't really remember too much of it. What I remember is they had characters like Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf, for example. But I have been seeing like a few like edits on TikTok of Hoodwinked, so hopefully it is coming back for a lot of people. Next, we've got the Ice Age films, and we've got 1 to 4. The first 2 being on DVD and the second 2 being on Blu-ray. Now, this is my childhood copy of Ice Age 1. These films I didn't own as a kid, so we'll put them to one side, because this was the Ice Age that I remember watching. I can't recall watching any of the other Ice Age films. I think I watched a bit of the second one, but this is the one that I remember the most. And while I think it's a great film, I didn't gravitate towards it as much as the likes of Toy Story and a lot of the Pixar films. But I did really like the characters on this one. I really did like, is his name Scrat, I think? Chasing that acorn, those sequences were always really funny. And obviously Sid the Sloth, I remember being an absolutely hilarious character. And it is a very heartwarming film, so that's Ice Age. Next, we have Kung Fu Panda. Now, again, similarly to the Ice Age scenario that I had going on earlier, Kung Fu Panda, the first one, is the only Kung Fu Panda that I've seen. This is the only one that I remember. Now, I do think I had like some kind of like twin DVD sort of box set thing of Kung Fu Panda 1 and 2, but this is the one that I do remember. And honestly, like, as far as animated films go, this is up there for like the late 2000s. Like, it was such a good story that Jack Black played as Poe had on there. Just the action was great. It was just really funny. And what I did really like, and I actually did watch this more than the film, was the TV series, the cartoon TV series of Kung Fu Panda that was called Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness, which I think was on Nicktoons back in the day. And if you guys remember that, honestly, like, you can have some sort of medal or something, because that was absolutely brilliant. I think it was quite an underrated cartoon. And what I also didn't mention about Kung Fu Panda is I had quite a few like toys. Like, I had quite a few ones of that Pose Master, I forget his name, and some of the other characters as well, like from like McDonald's toys from back in the day. But anyway, we've got Madagascar, the first Madagascar. Now, once again, I don't think I've even seen the second Madagascar, which I do own on Blu-ray, and I did pick up quite a while ago now. But this one, again, I feel like it's quite underrated in terms of... Because obviously it's not an underrated series, obviously, Madagascar. You know, if you talk to anyone about animated films in the 2000s, you know, Madagascar will crop up. But I think the first one, actually, like, as a film, it's pretty good. Obviously, they're wanting to, like, escape from their zoo. I think they've just got such funny characters like King Julian there. The penguins, which were my favourite. Also, the penguins of Madagascar TV series on Nicktoons was absolutely incredible from back in the day as well. And obviously, you've got, like, loads of, like, actors like... is it Ben Stiller who voices Alex? And Chris Rock who voices the zebra, Marty. So yeah, I have just thought as well, I might have to do this video in like 2 parts, because I've just been checking the footage back and it is equating to like just over 10 minutes, I think. So we may have to do a part 2. But next up we have Mr. Bean's Holiday. Now, if you were a kid growing up anytime between the 90s and the 2000s, the chances are you've watched this guy at least once in your life. Now, Mr. Bean, for me, was someone who I absolutely adored watching during my childhood, and Mr. Bean's Holiday was no stranger to my eyes when it comes to Mr. Bean. Just that scene alone when he's getting all, like, those slimy things, and he's trying to, like, eat them, and he's putting them in that woman's bag, and then she screams and he runs off. Like, to me, like, that was peak comedy. Like, it just really was. And the Mr. Bean, the animated series on Boomerang, was by far like one of my favourite childhood TV shows. I'd actually say that might even be in like my top 10 cartoons of all time. It was that good. I remember rushing home from school, sticking on Boomerang, and it would be always on there. And obviously you've got the 90s Mr. Bean TV show as well, which actually only had 12 episodes, would you believe? So yeah, that's Mr. Bean's Holiday. I might have to rattle through these a little bit quickly now, but next we have Open Season. Now, Open Season is an interesting one because I don't really remember watching it as a kid, but I watched it a few years ago, and I realised how absolutely hilarious this film is. When you've got Martin Lawrence voicing Boog, you know it's going to be hilarious, and it absolutely is. Like that scene when he's just shaking his backside in the in the corner shop, like that one is just it's so funny. Like, this had no business being in a kids film, but it was absolutely incredible. Next we have one that I'm definitely more familiar with, and it's Over the Hedge. Now again, like a lot of the films I'd mentioned previously, this film I'd never owned physically as a kid, so I had to pick this one up a few months ago. But it was always on like BBC One and stuff like in the holidays, and this one was an absolute favourite of mine. It had like such a great soundtrack. Bruce Willis was in it as well. Just so many like different characters, and it was the fact that like it was in such a small world of like this street. I can't exactly remember the plot of it. But the fact that it's like mostly just set in a garden, and they're creating like all these incredible characters with all these great personalities, and like they're making like heroes and villains out of such a small situation, to me is such clever filmmaking. Now next is probably the most niche childhood film that I own, and I'll be very impressed if any of you remember this, and it's Pudsy the Dog, the movie. Now, for those who don't know who Pudsy the Dog is, this dog won Britain's Got Talent, which was a competition show in the UK in, I think it was around 2012. He was the 2012 winner, and he somehow got his own film. I mean, fair play to the lad. I mean, he's getting his own film. I mean, I'm not sure you could get Susan Boyle the film, even though I would absolutely love to watch that. But yeah, him and his owner actually managed to star in their own film with David Walliams, who was and still is, I think, is he? I don't even know. I don't even watch the show anymore. The Britain's Got Talent judge, and he voices Pudsey. So they managed to get this own film, and I actually did watch this in the cinema at the time. So that's Pudsey the Dog, the movie. Now, next up, we have an absolutely elite duo, the holy grail of childhood films, and it's the live-action Scooby-Doo films, the first one and the second one, Monsters Unleashed. Now, again, like I've said a billion times in this video, I didn't own these physically, and it was this one that I watched the most. This is the one, the Spooky Island one. It was this one, yeah. This was the one I watched the most, yeah. So this was always on Boomerang. Actually, let's take this slipcover off, and then we can get the proper movie poster. So yeah, this one was an absolute favourite of mine. I absolutely loved Scooby-Doo growing up, especially that original series from around the 1970s, like Scooby-Doo Where Are You? That was the one it was called. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Scooby-Doo First Frights is one of my favourite games on the Nintendo Wii, and this film is absolutely phenomenal. Now, like the Mr. Bean scene with the woman in the bag, there was a scene in this film which absolutely cracked me up every single time it was on, and that was when Scooby-Doo dressed up in a dress when he's going on the aeroplane. Like, I just thought the idea of Scooby-Doo doing that being just, it was just hilarious. It was just such slapstick humour. And this guy is Shaggy, Matthew Lillard, I think his name is. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that surname wrong. Absolutely incredible. So this film was a definite childhood favourite of mine. Now, this next one was possibly, when I was about 11, my favourite film of all time. And it's Jack Black in the School of Rock. Well, School of Rock, as it's known. This is one of the most feel-good films in existence. Like, if you're having such a bad day, hoy on School of Rock, you'll probably feel better. And I've been watching a lot of clips on it, recommended to me on my For You page on TikTok, and I just remember how great this is. Like, when he's like instructing the kids all to do the little instrumental parts, and then he just breaks it all into song. Like, it's peak Jack Black. This is like peak Jack Black. Like, I know Jack Black is getting a lot of is still continues to get a lot of roles, but to me this is his holy grail, and I think he knows that himself. I know I was talking about holy grails of Scooby-Doo, but this one is like the elitist of the elite of childhood films, and it's Shrek. Shrek 1 and Shrek 2. Now, I did own Shrek 3 on DVD. I lost it, but honestly, I don't care. That film is terrible. I remember it even being terrible when I was a kid. Like, when you're a kid, you're not a film critic, are you? You watch it on screen and you go, oh, that's Shrek, I like this film. But even then, I remember thinking, this film is bad. I don't like it. But yeah, Shrek 1 and 2, absolutely incredible. Now, as a kid, I actually did prefer the second one. But the first one is also a perfect film, in my opinion. Like, it's got such a perfect story, such perfect characters. Like, Eddie Murphy as Donkey, like, he just encapsulates that humour that Donkey had. I feel like no other actor could have played Donkey. And even, like, for the time, like, the CGI was incredible. Like, it really did put DreamWorks on the map for being one of the best animation studios in the 2000s, and Shrek is absolutely one of the best animated films of all time. Next, we have some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film DVDs. Now, the original one I haven't not actually watched. Like, I never watched it as a kid. I just didn't get around to it, and I still haven't, so I definitely need to watch that sometime. But this one was absolutely my childhood version of the Ninja Turtles, and this particular DVD was one of my favourite DVDs to go through as a kid. And honestly, like, this film is really good. Like, the CGI is really good. I remember Nolan North, who voiced Nathan Drake and many other characters in games. He also voiced the Deadpool in the Deadpool video game, and he voiced one of the Ninja Turtles, and it's brilliant. It's really, really good. Like, I don't remember too much about it, but I just remember enjoying it. But honestly, like, this booklet, like, was just, like, my favourite thing to go through. Like, looking through all these Blu-rays and then going through, like, this little poster that you've got here. It's just, like, a little, like, leaflet advertising the video game there. And then advertising Sea Life and a Ninja Turtles magazine. And even, like, the DVD. Look at that DVD. Look how cool that DVD is. Like, I just wish that, like, film companies would make good DVDs like this. Like, it's just so creative, and it's a pretty underrated film. Now, this next film is one of the saddest and most heartwarming kids' films of all time, and it's The Iron Giant. This film is an absolute masterpiece, and I remember even as a kid being so emotionally affected by this film. Now, am I right in saying Vin Diesel voiced the Iron Giant? I think he did, but basically it is about a boy who finds this giant robot and has to hide him from the government because they're trying to track him down, because they think he's some kind of, like, super weapon. But honestly, like, it was so, like, mature for a kid's film, and it was so, like, it just had so many great, like, themes that even, like, adults resonated with as well. Like, honestly, this is an absolute masterpiece. Now, this next one is pretty interesting novelty, and it's the Smurfs film, which I think came out in, I think it was 2011, yeah, it was. I remember that because I did actually go to the cinemas to watch it. And it was the one where Katy Perry voiced Smurf at a time when she was, like, the biggest pop star around, besides maybe Rihanna. But I remember enjoying this film as a kid. Like, I remember, like, looking for a lot of, like, reviews maybe, like, years and years after I'd watched it, and I remember seeing just everyone slate this film like, this is one of the worst films I've ever seen, but I just remember enjoying it. I mean, to be honest, if I watched it now, I probably wouldn't like it, but I do have some very fond memories with this film, and I do remember those toys that you used to get of the Smurfs from McDonald's. There was, like, a little keychain. You could get, like, a plush one, so it's pretty cool. Next, we have the Wallace and Gromit films that I owned as a kid, well, apart from this one. A Matter of Life and Death is the one that I owned. And this one came out, like, when I was a little kid. Like, came out in 2009, yeah, so it would have been just a little lad. And I absolutely loved it. Just the whole Baker-like girl thing. Like, honestly, Wallace and Gromit is just unmatched in terms of, like, humour. Like, even watching it now, it's absolutely hilarious. My favourite Wallace and Gromit film does have to be The Wrong Trousers with Feathers McGraw. Like, that is one of the best animated films in existence, and I think Feathers McGraw is possibly the best villain of all time. We've also got Curse of the Were-Out, which I have actually never watched. surprisingly, because it was everywhere when I was a kid. So I'm looking forward to watching this one soon. Now, next we've got a film that I don't actually remember watching at all as a kid, although I probably did at one point. It's 101 Dalmatians 2 Patch's London Adventure. Now, from what I understand of this, I think this is one of those, like, I think it's like one of those like direct-to-video like sequels that came out from a load of Disney films during the 90s. There was Return of Jafar and The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 and Kronk's New Groove and films like that. And I think this was one of them. I don't remember anything about this film, but I do remember enjoying the live-action 101 Dalmatians when I was a kid. It was absolutely incredible. So yeah. Now, this next one is so special to me because, and this might make you feel old or young depending on your age, and it's definitely showing my age. This was the first film that I ever watched in the cinema, and it's Bolt. I distinctly remember going to the cinemas and getting my photo taken with a cardboard cutout of Bolt. And yeah, like, this film is absolutely incredible, and this definitely did spur on my love for Disney films. And I did have the Bolt video game on the DS. That was absolutely great. But yeah, I just thought this film was just the bee's knees. This film was just so cool. The fact you got a dog who's like fighting villains and stuff, and you've got Miley Cyrus that voiced Penny, who I actually thought done really well on the soundtrack for this film. And you got Rhino there as well, the little hamster. Yeah, honestly, such a fun film. Now, like Shrek, this next franchise is absolutely peak on the top tier of animated films, and it's the Cars franchise. We have the first Cars and the second Cars. Now, the first Cars was one of my favourite childhood films ever. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I could just, like, revise, like, the whole plot of Cars, and I just knew what was coming next, what was happening. And yeah, honestly, this film is absolutely incredible. Just the scenes that this film conjured up, like the soundtrack, Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts, Real Gone by Sheryl Crow. I actually think Real Gone's a better song, which is probably quite a hot take in the community of kids who grew up at that time. And those like really cool like Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious looking cars. The sequence with the crop duster, I think it is, was terrifying. And Mater being one of the best Pixar characters of all time. And apologies for that, I did forget to go through Cars 2. Now again, this is one of the first Blu-rays that I ever owned, and I did go and watch it in the cinema when it came out. Now, this film actually does have quite a lot of divided opinion amongst the film community, I think. But I remember enjoying it when it came out. Like, I remember, obviously, it not being better than the first one, but, you know, fun characters like Finn McMissile, who was voiced by Michael Caine. I mean, it's Michael Caine. Didn't Michael Schumacher voice a character in this? It was an F1 driver. It was Michael Schumacher or Lewis Hamilton who voiced a car in it. Anyway, this film was, honestly, it was pretty fun. Like, it's not going to be like the first Cars. It was completely different, and I think it somewhat succeeded in a sequel, so yeah. Now next, we have, again, one of my favourite childhood films, and it's Chicken Little. Now, this film is in the classics range, which I think a lot of films that didn't particularly even get good acclaim, like The Wild, even got into classics, which I completely don't understand why that was the case. But Chicken Little, for me, was one of my favourites. Now, I didn't quite realise the negative reception to Chicken Little until I got a lot older. Even in, like, the past, like, 6 months, I've just been reading, like, how people don't like this film, and I was like, I didn't think it was, I knew it wasn't, like, a masterpiece or anything, but I didn't realise it was that sort of defecated on. Like, is it really that bad? Like, I kind of want to watch it again, but at the same time, like, I really hold, like, really dear nostalgic memories to this film. Like, I remember, like, having so many of the toys of the fish and these little red things here. And I remember the Chicken Little 2 Ace in Action video game, which I had both on the Wii and the DS. I used to play the DS one so much. I used to watch this film so much. So yeah, it's a classic in my eyes. Next, we have an absolute classic from Disney, and it's Cool Runnings. Now, again, I didn't own this film as a kid, so I did have to pick it up. But yeah, you've got the legendary actor, that is John Candy. I mean, what is a comedy film without John Candy? It's probably not an S-tier one like this. And yeah, this is obviously about the Jamaican bobsleigh team. And yeah, it's just, can you name another film that's about bobsleighing? I mean, You know, the Winter Olympics, like, are always fun. Is this even about the Olympic bobsled team? Yeah. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I remember absolutely adoring this film. Now, this is my childhood copy of Finding Nemo. Now, in my opinion, Finding Nemo, again, is one of those absolute cream of the crop, like, animation films of the 2000s. I absolutely adored this film. Apart from the first scene when you see Nemo's mum getting sort of, you know, taken out. That was terrible. Why was that in a Disney film? Why was that in a Pixar film? That got a U rating, by the way. That got a, can you see that? I hope the camera's focusing. That got a U rating, that scene. Just watch that scene back again, you know exactly what I mean. But honestly, this film has so many iconic moments. I mean, Ellen DeGeneres as Dory, and I think Willem Dafoe is also in this film as well. So many actors that you just forget were in it. And Robbie Williams obviously covering Bobby Darin's Somewhere Beyond the Sea as the theme of this film, which I thought was absolutely incredible. Obviously exploring the Australian Ocean with just so many different species of fish and animal, and obviously the seagulls going mine, which was hilarious. Just Bruce was just, he was hilarious. He was voiced by Barry Humphries. I mean, the 2000s was a wild time. Next, I thought we'd do these films as part of, like, the same section of the video. We have Dumbo and Pinocchio. Now, if I'm being honest, Pinocchio is probably my favourite, like, oh, probably can't see that. Pinocchio is probably my favourite, like, classic Disney film. I do love Dumbo as well. I think I did own, like, a Dumbo plush as a kid. Absolutely incredible film. But yeah, Pinocchio was, like, my absolute favourite. Like, I just have such fond memories with Pinocchio, and growing up and realising, like, Jiminy Cricket, like, acts as, like, your conscience. It was just so clever, and, you know, the characters of Geppetto and Figaro, it's such a cosy film. Like, it really is such a cosy film, and it's just, the animation is just incredible. Like, obviously it was from sort of the very early era of Disney, so it just gave that nostalgia that you didn't have, but you still felt nostalgic for it anyway. This was the 70th anniversary edition that I had as a kid, so yeah. So I think this is going to be the last DVD I do as this part of my childhood DVD collection, and I had to go out with a bang, and this one is, honestly, it's one of my favourite films of all time. Not just favourite childhood, just films of all time. It's Monsters, Inc. I mean, I should have got this from CEX and put a sticker over Mike's face. Like, I love Monsters, Inc. This film is just, it's heartwarming, it's absolutely hilarious. Just watching monsters on acid as a kid just brain-rotted me in so many ways, and toys on acid. They're some of the funniest videos of all time. But yeah, like, this film is incredible. Just so many iconic characters. Waternoose, Randall, Celia, Roz, just, it's pure humour. It's pure humour in a film. And just having all the different, it's such a unique concept, having monsters whose job it is to scare, and the more you scare, the more scarier you are, the higher you are in the corporation. Like, just mind-blowing levels of creativity from Disney at this time. So I'm going to leave it there for this video. This is going to be part one of my childhood DVD collection. Honestly, I've got so much more to show you guys, and I can't wait to do it. But let me know in the comments, actually, your thoughts on this video, and what was your favourite childhood movie? Let me know in the comments down below. And remember, like and subscribe for nostalgic content, and I'll see you next time.